As they say, better late than never. I know we are holding you back from the final awards and lunch, but like we have been allotted 15, graciously 20 minutes now. Yeah. At the onset, wanted to thank the organizers for having us again, the second time, the same place, me again chairing another panel next year too. It's my privilege to have such eminent professionals as a co-panelist. I'm taking with the permission of all of you, want to introduce, starting with Sanjay. Sanjay is the executive director and founder of Manjari Foundation in Dholpur, Rajasthan, primarily focusing on rural development. And I let him speak about himself, his organization, and jumping into the topic of implementing best practices. Yeah. On to my right, we have Prarthana again, the second year. Prarthana is the co-founder and of Gift Abled, which is a social enterprise that strives to create an ecosystem of individuals to collectively build an inclusive society. Now over to you in the future to talk about more about that. The topic that we are going to speak today is on the best strategies and the best practices in our respective organizations and our respective spaces, thematic spaces. So Dr. Sanjay, we would love to hear about you, some cases and the examples of some of the best practices in your respective thematic space.
Thank you very much. Am I audible? This thing is... Hello? Yeah, I'm audible. Thank you very much. After the award ceremony, it seems like it's the toughest job for all three of us we have got. Nevertheless, through Manjari Foundation, what we have been trying to do is to create ecosystems for the rural women in the interiors of Rajasthan and Bundelkhand. And as you would know that most of the districts in Rajasthan, including the place that I have been working for last 23 years, that is Dholpur. It's the Chambal River Basin. It's the very strong patriarchal society when it comes to the rural setup in Rajasthan or Bundelkhand part of UP and MP. So most of these rural women do not get an opportunity to even go outside their villages, forget about going to the market or accessing the resources like banking services or starting their own enterprises or to be involved in income generation activities. So through the foundation, we are creating their institutions, women institutions, and these women institutions are the ones which decide what exactly they would like to do. And we provide them the technical assistance in terms of building their capacities for business development, for accessing the market, setting up their enterprises, helping them access the technical part of setting up those enterprises, whether it's going to be related to food processing or grain processing or dairy industry or those kind of things. When I say creating ecosystem, it also means that if you want to unleash the potential of these women, there are certain barriers. Empowerment does not happen overnight. We need to think about investing into creating those ecosystems in a long term. 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 17 years, 20 years. For example, we have been working in those areas for the last 23 years. So that is the time which has taken up for these women to come out from their shells and then setting up examples. So it's also about letting the women to become the seeds of change in their own context. So our strategy has been to build their capacities, build their leadership in a sense, that they also become the seeds of change and become the change agents in different districts. So wherever we go, start in a new operations or new projects, these women are the ones who do all these things, whether to mobilize the communities, to form their institutions, to train those women, and the impact has been that struggling from getting a ration card to owning a passport. That's the journey which these women have been able to create. So I'm just going to stop here now.
Yeah. Yeah, over to you, Prathna.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, what are the colors you are seeing? Quickly. Red, yellow, blue, green. Okay, close your eyes. Sincerely close your eyes. What are the colors? Now, if I give this Rubik Cube to someone who is blind and say, hey, play this Rubik Cube, what would happen? He would ask me or tell me, hey, have I won the game? Because looks like the Rubik Cube is solved, right? 15% of global population are people with disabilities, out of which almost 2 to 4% have significant functioning issues, right? So almost 15 crore people in India. So just start imagining the kind of reach. And that's where we come into picture and we say, let's create that level playing field. Just like this Rubik Cube and the topic being best practices, we've been in the sector for almost 10 years now. Almost 20 years back, I was working with corporate sector, moved to social sector, and started realizing how disability as a cause comes to bottom of pyramid. As simple as 15 years back, I learned sign language. I was super exciting meeting a deaf. And I was like, hey, hi, my name is Prathana, Prathana. Immediate response. I was like, what? Are you deaf? I was like, no. Is someone in your family deaf? I was like, no, why? Because you are signing. For them, there had to be a reason why I'm doing sign language. To today, the change is, I remember we said, let's start doing a lot of awareness. And I like the tagline that said, awareness to action. So can we start doing a lot of awareness sessions? And one of the sessions we were teaching sign language, and one volunteer posts on her social media and she says, hey, you know what? I learned sign language. I go to MG Road Metro and I see a pottery artist who was deaf. And she goes there and she says, hi, my name is Alekia. The response she got was, are you volunteer, giftable? Now a change that has started happening because each one of us have started taking in that step. There are a lot of people with multiple disabilities. I know Pradeep, who is deaf-blind. It took him 10 years to become independent in life. Today he is working in Dell and then earning his livelihood, right? But when we went to rural areas, in one house, there were 3 deaf-blind sisters. Imagine, can't see, can't hear, so can't speak. The only communication they have had for 20 years of life, they were in their mid-20s, so 20, 22, 25. The only communication they have had is this. Whenever they were hungry, they would do this. Now start thinking, Pradeep had support, so it took him 10 years. For them, 20 years, only this communication. So automatically intellectual disability, right? So how can we start using technology? Many a times we discuss in our office. So one of my colleague, Krishna, he's a wheelchair user. He has cerebral palsy. Both his legs are not functional. Right hand works to an extent of 20%. Left hand works to an extent of 60%, using which today he takes care of our website, marketing management, leads, audits across different corporates. At the same time, he has a team of almost 20 people reporting to him. Half of them are people with disability. In fact, just before I think, close this session, I actually got a wheelchair and I will require one volunteer just before we end, not now, and I'll tell you why. So, yeah, a lot of things happening. So, Giftable started our journey in Bangalore. To today, we realized how do we take these best practices. Now, the easy job is done, right? City mein sab kuch aaram se mil jata hai, right? So, can we go to the aspirational districts, especially the low-income states, the backward regions as per HDI ranking, and we do have presence in UP, Balrampur, Shavasti, Siddharth Nagar, and we have seen almost 200, 300 people coming saying, hey, can I get support on health, education and livelihood? 100 parents were there for one of the training session, and the best part was, they came, they said, this is the first time in our life we are coming out for a training for our children. A change that is needed and required to be done at different parts in our country. So, yeah.
Thank you. After such inspiring, awesome journeys, I'm taking the liberty of sharing the journey of SMILE, my organization. SMILE Foundation is a not-for-profit Indian entity started 20 years back by a small group of corporate professionals like you who themselves were personally the recipient of the first economic boom and wanting to give back, hence wanting to give back to the community. That's how we started. Like many of us, they believe that signing checks per se might be the answer to solving the issues of poverty and that society face. And the initial year, we were only signing check to other NGOs. And then again, like multiple of us believe that education can clearly open the doors and break the poverty cycle again. And started with a flagship program of education. We call it Mission Education. A couple of years further down, realized education per se might not be enough for this generation to come out of it. That's how we started our journey of working with all life stages. Beyond education, we moved on to healthcare of the entire community, livelihood of youth, and women empowerment. So there is a lot of synergy here, what we are talking about, and it's a very inclusive, across all the 4 thematic spaces, it's very inclusive. We work with, we ensure that it's an inclusive community, we ensure there's diversity and work with disabled. Speaking about our strategy, we realized that we don't want to work in isolation, and we don't want to be the only player. So we by design, we choose to work with smaller grassroots / community-based organizations, build their capacity while we improve the quality of programs and demonstrate quality, demonstrate impact. And we call it social venture philanthropy. Like the philanthropist, we believe in this principle, and hence we, by design, choose to work with some of the organization across the thematic spaces. That's one of the examples for strategy that I want to cite. Coming on to innovations, I mentioned that we work across 4 thematic spaces. Under education, beyond working with government schools / the unaided schools where we clearly demonstrate impact, clearly demonstrate quality of education across the academic years. We, like many other organizations, we are working in the spaces of STEM. So one of the example of how we are innovating the space of STEM is we have partnered with Shell in a program called An Explorer, where across multiple states, out of 25,000 children who we are working for the STEM, the area of STEM itself and building their capacity, we are choosing 6,000 of them with finally the 6,000 of them are working in pilot projects which has to find solution for global problems. Specifically, some of the SDG goals of water, food, etc. And every year, we are expanding this every year, and Shell is our partner for this. Thank you, Shell, again. Another example under education, what we do innovation is, we partnered, and the donor, when we say partner, there's a corporate donor that I'm talking about, Snyder, which is for green energy and green champions. So not just improving the education alone, that is, although the core program that we do, including solarization of the schools that we work, we also pick up green champions across all the schools to ensure that there are champions who make this program sustainable. So there are competitions beyond tree plantation too. They have to demonstrate, if I'm a champion, I have to demonstrate that back in my houses, how am I saving energy? So these children and the volunteers are supposed to bring what was your bill when you started off and how are you saving this? I mean, these are 2 small examples under education. Under health, we work with longer programs of mobile medical units, telemedicine, and this, we work across the locations of rural and urban. We also work with the communities with the government for PHC upgradation and health camps. So some of the examples where we really leverage technology across all these areas. So 3 levels, that there is angle camera, the MIS is real time. Anyone who have access can see what is the data, whom are we seeing at what time, where is the van, and who all are there in van, etc., etc. So those are other innovations, totally leveraging technology. Under livelihood, while we were working across pre-COVID, we were working across the trades of retail and hospitality management. It was not so relevant during COVID time. So we realized the increased need is for clearly trades like healthcare assistant. Everyone struggled to have someone to help the patients back at home, or BFSI, etc., etc. And one of the pilots that we have started recently, Prarthana, is we are piloting a center exclusively for youth with learning disability. So we are piloting that, and we are looking at further partnership to expand the same. Coming on to the last thematic space, the women empowerment, which we call Swabhiman. While we started this as a larger health, hygiene, and journey of empowerment for women, which is an inclusive one, getting all the stakeholders, including husband, to participate and own up this. Somewhere down the line, we also know that no empowerment is complete without financial empowerment. So what this program we have innovated and expanded is developing entrepreneurs from the community. So we have, say, 200, in a smaller community of 20,000, 200 are totally trained on, selected 200 are trained on, to become entrepreneurs. Out of it, a smaller subset, we further link them with all the schemes that's available from bank and government, and a smaller subgroup are handheld right from the beginning. And we demonstrate the impact and the offtake of the revenue and the entrepreneurship. We get the corporate volunteers to help them in all fields of entrepreneurship, and depending, the number depends on the partnership amount, the funding amount that we receive. So I leave these innovations now and open the floor for questions on any of it to any of the panelists right now. Any question on best practices, innovation that you can think of, or you want to know more about?
I know the risk of this question is it may have a long answer, but maybe. I'm Rohit from Makkade Jagrati, and we are working in Karnataka. And so far, our work has been of deep impact on the ground. Okay, and as a strategy, we would like to scale up. And what makes us anxious is, when we talk of scale, we talk about, training others, cascading and things like that. And what we are anxious about, what happens to deep impact on the ground is, kind of, since both of, all of you have, worked at large scale and also created some impact, any quick magical advices if you have, that would be useful to hear.
I'll start with my 2 pennies and then move on to the fellow panelist. There's always, the bigger debate is always, I know it's a catch-22 situation of going wide or going deep. So that is left to the management and the organization to take which way you want to do. However, having said that, they could be really impactful pilots, and you might choose not to expand yourself. Clearly the success could also be in partnership. You might want this to be your center of excellence, and you want to transfer back to the government. You might want to build capacities of other stakeholders in the community, be it other NGOs, and do the expansion. Or you might have enough bandwidth right now to expand. So there is no one magic answer. As per me personally, I don't think there's, hey, this is the answer, this is how you scale up, because it's again clearly a well thought strategy. Do you want to do it yourself, or do you want to do it in partnership? So I'll leave it at that. And over to you, Prarthana, and then to...
Yeah, sure. I mean, you just mentioned it, that instead of going by yourself to all the places, which may not be possible given the kind of resources one organization might have or may not have. Our experience has been, 2 experiences rather. One is when the change is led by the community itself, rest assured it is going to be much better than whatever professional organizations are supposed to do or have been trying to do. This has been our experience. The second is, the biggest example of replication is the National Rural Livelihood Mission being done by the Government of India. It actually started by different organizations 20-25 years back in terms of organizing the women into self-help groups or village organizations or the federations. As of now, they are reaching out to 90 million members. So only the government can do it, given the kind of resources they have. The model has been, suggested, model has been taken up. So one has to decide what exactly is the model that we are talking about and who should be taking it up further.
Yeah. I would say sometimes you never know how ripple impact gets created. Now, as simple as I asked about the colors and then I said how would a blind play. Now, if you see, all these have tactiles in them. So every color has a bead. Now, this, I'll show you, just give you one example on how this is ripple impact created. Now, one of the corporate came and they said, hey, you know what, we want to do an event for 100 people with and without disability. Can you give us a product that is inclusive? So since we are into supplier diversity, we have products made by people with disabilities. We said, why don't we do Rubik Cubes? And we said this, usually we gather volunteers and we do thousands of them, set up tactile libraries. And we said this time we will get it done from youth with intellectual disabilities. Now they are not able to sit in one place for 3 minutes. They've sat for 3 hours and done 100 Rubik Cubes in 1 week. Now start thinking the 3 impact. A, inclusive game. Second, awareness. Third, livelihood opportunity, right? Many a times we just keep thinking like, you know, what is disability in fact? And one day, one day it was Pratik, who is co-founder, he said, hey, it's nothing but 2 things, yeah? I said, what 2 things? Closed mindset and inaccessible environment. I was like, okay. And me, Krishna, we started thinking, he just said and went off. It was deep indeed. I was like, closed mindset. I said, yeah, if we open the mindset, and we make our environment accessible, disability will not even remain a cause and you will not require organizations like Giftable to be there. We can move to some other cause, right? And when I'm talking about ripple impact, again, this is a painting by youth with autism, Akhilesh. I remember his mother used to always reach out to us and say, I don't know what will happen to Akhilesh after me. And that is the fear of most of the parents. What after me? Who will take care of them? Many a times we have seen parents saying, I just wish to God that can I live one day more than my child, right? How do you support them? How do you make sure they feel secure? And same year we got an order for almost 2,000 such paintings during Diwali. The theme was Diya and Akhilesh painting got selected. His mother sends us a message saying, hey, you know what, Akhilesh is breadwinner in the family today. Next year, same order, another corporate, she sends us a message and says, hey, you know what, Akhilesh brother comes home with a hamper which has chocolates made by youth with intellectual disability, which has a keychain which is carved by someone who is physically challenged, polishing is done by someone who is blind. They call Akhilesh, he is severely autistic. He looks at painting, he says Akhilesh, Akhilesh and walks off without even realizing impact he has created on his family. The family that was shy to talk about him, today the brother has gone on whole floor saying, hey, this is by my brother. A change that has started happening because there is a collaboration between corporates, between the beneficiaries, between benefactors, parents and the organizations like all of us who are trying their bit to make sure we are creating that level playing field.
You have been a wonderful audience. Thanks a lot. Looking forward to support in the future too.
Well, thank you
And
very much.
Just
Yes,
last
please, yes,
30 seconds since I've got the wheelchair, I'll require a volunteer. Anyone? Quickly, just 30 seconds more. Since you've been very active, you stay here. Sir. Quickly. You just be here. And we'll get the wheelchair here. Just 20-second activity, 20 seconds are left. Can you sit on the wheelchair? Yeah. Now this is a wheelchair, I thought I'm getting 1 minute, so a small little awareness. That's the footrest. And the outer ring is for people to push. So can you push the wheelchair and go till there? Yeah. So I thought in case he needs help, you may be required. How is it? Easy? Not really? Okay, the activity starts now. So I was talking about Krishna, both his legs are not functional. Right hand works to an extent of 20%. Left hand works to an extent of 60%. So your right hand is not working. And the restroom is here. So your left hand works, but 60%. Can you come till here? Using just your left hand. So imagine if I have to go to washroom, I'll just run and I'll say, hey, washroom bhagna hai. Now imagine Krishna, either she has to quickly come support. And just yesterday we were going for lunch and Krishna comes on his auto wheelchair. So I'm talking about a wheelchair to a auto wheelchair, where I am walking, he is going smoothly, and I'm like, Krishna, this is so unfair, right? So changes are happening, there are challenges, but there are also solution to those challenges. I think technology is helping also for all of this. Just wanted to experience, anyone wants to do it later, you can, and thank you.